Hi, thanks for watching BibleMountain.com. In this video, we're going to read from Exodus 18 and learn how to lead large groups of people. In the world we live in, there are many times where it's necessary to lead large groups of people. This happens in the military. You have large armies of thousands of people. Also in business, some businesses are smaller, 10, 50 people. But then there are larger businesses of hundreds and thousands of people. Likewise with churches. Some churches are small, 10, 20, 30 people. Then there are churches of 50 people, 100 people, and there are churches of thousands of people. And again, with all these large groups, the challenge is how do you lead all these large groups, because the person at the top cannot possibly connect with every person in those organizations. What we're going to read in Exodus 18 today is an example of how you lead a large group of people like this. And basically it comes down to two things. One, you need to have a hierarchy, and two, you need to delegate. So let's get started in Exodus 18, starting at verse 13. It came about the next day that Moses sat to judge the Israelites, and the Israelites stood about Moses from the morning until the evening. Now when Moses' father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the Israelites, Jethro said, "What is this that you are doing for the Israelites? Why do you alone sit as judge and all the people stand about you from morning until evening?" Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the Israelites come to me to inquire of God." Now notice the word inquire. Keep in mind, the Israelites did not have a written Bible at this time, and so they had nothing in writing telling them what God wanted, what God was like, and what God expected from them. And so they went to Moses to get these answers from him, and they went to Moses to inquire of God and ask for help. Let's resume reading there at verse 16. And this is Moses speaking to Jethro, his father-in-law. "When the Israelites have a dispute, it comes to me, and I judge between a man and his neighbor and make known the statutes of God and his laws." Moses' father-in-law said to Moses, "The thing that you are doing is not good. You will surely wear out both yourself and these people who are with you, for the task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone." Now, notice the word wear out. Jethro warned Moses that he was going to wear out doing everything by himself, and not only himself, but Jethro said Moses was going to wear out the Israelites too. Now let's resume reading there at verse 19. And this now is Jethro speaking to Moses. "Now listen to me. I will give you counsel, and God be with you. You be the people's representative before God, and you bring the disputes to God. Then teach the Israelites the statutes and the laws, and make known to the Israelites the way in which they are to walk and the work they are to do. Furthermore, you, Moses, shall select out of all the Israelites able men who fear God, men of truth, those who hate dishonest gain. And you shall place these over the Israelites as leaders of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens." Now, notice it talks there about leaders of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. And so here we see the hierarchy. You had Moses at the very top, and then the recommendation was to take all the Israelites and divide them into groups of thousands and have leaders over those groups of thousands. And then each group of 1,000 would be divided into groups of 100, and there would be a leader over each of those groups. And then each group of 100 would be divided into 50s, and so on. And so it was setting up a hierarchy of leadership. Now let's resume reading there at verse 22. "Let the leader," and again this is Jethro speaking to Moses, "let the leaders judge the Israelites at all times, and let it be that every major dispute they will bring to you, but every minor dispute they themselves will judge. So it will be easier for you, and they will bear the burden with you. If you do this thing, and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure, and all these people also will go to their place in peace." So Moses listened to his father-in-law and did all that Jethro had said. Moses chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the Israelites, leaders of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. The leaders judged the people at all times. The difficult dispute they would bring to Moses, but every minor dispute they themselves would judge. Then Moses bade his father-in-law farewell, and Jethro went his own way into his own land. So notice again, it states here that Moses took the Israelites and he set up leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, leaders of fifties, and leaders of tens. And again, that was a hierarchy that they set up to help Moses lead this large group of people. And notice the contrast between the difficult disputes and the minor disputes. the difficult questions and disputes, they would bring that to Moses. But then all the minor disputes were delegated down the chain of command to these various leaders of thousands, of hundreds, fifties, and tens. And so there's the second example of how to lead a large group, and that is the need to delegate. And rather than Moses handling every decision by himself, he delegated the minor disputes down the chain of command and allowed them to handle that. So again, we live in a world where there are many large groups, and there's a challenge of how to lead large groups because the person at the top leading the group cannot possibly talk to and connect with every person in the organization. And we see this in the military. The military has groups sometimes of millions of men. And also we see it in business. There are large businesses of hundreds and thousands of people. And also churches. There are churches, large churches of hundreds and thousands of people. And there's challenges in all these large organizations of how to lead them and how to have all the people within that organization be on the same page and work together. And so what we see in Exodus 18 is an example of how to lead a large group like this. And the key is to have a hierarchy. And we saw that in Exodus 18, that Moses set up a leadership structure where there were leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, leaders of 50s, and leaders of 10. And then also the second thing is to delegate, and Moses did that. Moses reserved for himself the difficult questions, but all the minor disputes, the minor questions, Moses delegated those down the chain of command and allowed them to handle it so that Moses was not overwhelmed with having to deal with all the questions by himself. Thanks for watching Bible Mountain. If you haven't already signed up for my email list, please do so. First of all, it is free. By signing up, you will get immediate access to my videos when they are released because they will be delivered to your email inbox. That means that you won't miss out on any of my videos. And in order to sign up, go to BibleMountain.com, click on follow, and there will be a place to put in your email address and sign up for my email feed. And once again, thank you for watching BibleMountain.com.